Welcome everyone to a brand new episode. Now, this is a bonus episode for you people out there on YouTube. We're going to be covering the Suicide Squad from 2021. It just came out. Me and Nate just watched it. Nate just came fresh from the theater. I just came fresh from my living room. So we're going to have some fun. I'm your host, Alex Figueroa, and that is
Nate from Netflix Reviews.
All right, the first time you guys are on our channel, please hit those subscribe buttons to support the channel. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this review. And then, of course, hit those notification bells so every time reviews drop, you guys will be notified. So, Nate, let's just get right into it. Let's get on with the pros. What did you enjoy about the Suicide Squad?
Look, first of all, I think we should, just for context, really quick, because this is what I always like to do, whenever, especially with a sequel. We got to let them know what we thought of the first one. We're not going to review the first one. Yeah, we got to give them a blurb. Right, we got to give them a blurb of at least like what we thought of the first one, because that does usually set up how you feel going into a sequel. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for me, I think the first one is not a good movie. I don't dislike it as much as most people. Okay, because I know it gets a lot of hate. Everyone hates it. It's the worst. You know, like DCEU movie, maybe so. But I mean, like when I left the theater, I wasn't like angry. I just thought, wow, that wasn't very good. Coming out of it, I loved Margot Robbie in it. I thought she was a great Harley Quinn. And other than that, I didn't like a whole lot. It was too serious, like it wasn't, the villain was terrible. I really hated her. She was just dancing in front of that lightning for like an hour. Yeah. The Enchantress. Yeah, I mean, very stupid. Oh, I liked Viola Davis as Amanda Waller too. I thought the casting was good. That was about it. So I didn't really love it. How about you?
I did not enjoy the original one. I seen it like twice, and that's it. Never even popped it on even do the rewatch. But yeah, I was not a fan of it. Now, this movie is not a sequel to the first one. This is a brand new Suicide Squad.
It is a sequel though, because you have same Amanda Waller, same Rick Flag, Boomerang.
James.
Everything happened already. But what I mean is everything that happened in the last movie actually happened in this movie. That's how Harley Quinn knows Captain Boomerang, knows Rick Flag. Like it exists. So it's not it is a sequel in that regard. I think it's one of those like reboot sequels, if you want to use that term. Yeah. You know what I mean? But technically speaking, it is a sequel. Like everything that happened in the first movie happened in this movie, or had happened. You know what I mean? So I put it that way. Okay. Pro. Yeah, I loved it. I'm going to come right out and say it. I thought it was head and shoulders and levels above the first movie. It's not even close. It has a totally different feel. I think James Gunn absolutely knocked it out the park. And the main reason why, and this is something, you know, like I feel like the older I get and the more movies I watch, I start putting more stock in, is I was thoroughly entertained. Like entertain me. If I'm going to spend time watching a film, I'm not the type to go for like super artsy movies, or, you know, I'll watch them sometimes if they look interesting, but at the end of the day, I want to be entertained. And this movie is thoroughly entertaining. I laughed. I had a smile on my face for half the movie. I thought they executed the R rating without forcing the R rating like other movies, Deadpool. You know what I mean? Like sometimes that feels really forced. And in this one, it's like, well, look, they're technically bad guys, right? So the violence should be as bloody as it is. It's super bloody, and I loved it. The language, you know, like they curse, but it never feels overly forced like it did in other R-rated superhero movies, in my opinion. I love the recast, like not recasting, but Idris Elba is way better in this than Will Smith was in the first Suicide Squad. I don't know who that character, you know, I'm not familiar with a lot of the characters that are in this. The only ones I knew going in, I mean, outside of the people from the first movie, I'm familiar with King Shark. I'm familiar with the Polka Dot Man, even though he's stupid. I've at least like heard of him. Yeah. And that's it. All the other ones were like new to me. I don't even know who they were. So that was pretty cool. I think James Gunn was smart. Picked a bunch of people like, hey, who are these people? I don't know, but they're very expendable at that point. And are we doing spoilers, or are we just doing non-spoiler? Okay. So one thing I like too, and I'll let you go in a second, was I like that They died. Like a lot of them died in this movie. You know what I mean? Like almost none of them died in the first movie. They're the Suicide Squad. The only one that dies is the fire dude and that guy who no one cares about who tries to escape right at the beginning. Like he wasn't even really a character. All the main characters live. And in this movie, they have like two separate teams. A bunch of them die right off the bat. So it makes the stakes more real, right? Like, okay, well, if they're just willing to kill off all these people, then anyone could die at any moment. I like that. I appreciated it. I had a blast. I thought it was great. I really thought it was a great film. I look forward to seeing it again. So yeah, that's my pros, I guess.
Yeah, in terms of the pros for me, honestly, I enjoy King Shark. I enjoy Harley Quinn. Pretty much it. I'm not, and I'm gonna say this right now. I am not a Suicide Squad fan. I don't read I got comic books of Suicide Squad, but it's not my favorite like thing to read. Like when I go out and buy comic books, I just skip over the Suicide Squad. I own the Suicide Squad, some of the comics, but I am not a fan of that, of those things. So like for me, even watching the 2016, I didn't like it. And then this one, I was just like, yeah, the pros were you got someone that knew the characters. He knew the world of DC. He knew the world of the Suicide Squad, which was great. Like he knew the characters. For myself, I don't care for the Suicide Squad. So me watching this movie didn't do as much for me as it will do for any other person that sits down and want to watch it. Right? They go all crazy. Like everyone knows I'm a big Batman fan. So for me, I'll be more ecstatic and jumping all over the place. Same with Superman. I don't go as crazy. I like Superman, but it's a hit or miss. If I enjoy it, I enjoy it. If I don't care. And I'm very weird when it comes to like comic book movies. I get excited for some and others. It's just like a dry wall. And when it came to this movie, I was seeing a lot of the Rotten Tomato scores, and I was like, wow, people are really giving this thing a crazy score. For me, I don't see where, because honestly, I just felt like I saw I'm not even saying as a negative, but I felt more it was Guardians of the Galaxy with DC characters.
I disagree.
It was the same.
I was worried about that.
But it was the same thing, though. It had the same soundtrack. It had the same music. Like the only difference is it wasn't R&B and those hit music that Star-Lord was listening to. Whereas over here was more of known stars, because all those music that he had in this was
licensed music, yes.
Right, but it was the first movie had
licensed music.
Yeah, but it was the same feel as Guardians, which I'm not saying nothing as bad or whatever. It is from the writer and director of Guardians of the Galaxy. So regardless of it's just the same with any director, right? When they put their style of whatever in a project, you're gonna bring it down, right? Like when we did Atomic Blonde, same as John Wick, because it was the same director that did John Wick. You know what I mean? So when it came to with this one, I was a little scared of it. I was like, okay, this dude's going to do exactly what he did with the other, which he did not. But the tempo and the color grading was all exactly the same, like the same colors here and there, which I didn't care as much. It did not affect me with my score. I'm just saying is like the pros is I like Sylvester Stallone. Honestly, out of the whole cast, I like King Shark. I didn't care for nobody else. I don't know their names. I didn't even care. The storyline, we'll get into that in a few. Like out of the entire 30 people that they put on screen, or 12 or whatever, the only person I really cared about was King Shark. Harley Quinn is Harley Quinn, which again, I rate them. I'd rather have Harley Quinn with Joker than her in the Suicide Squad. That's just me, my preference. So for me, I didn't even care even for Birds of Prey. I didn't care for her in any other Suicide Squad because I just want to see her with Joker. Like that's where I know Harley Quinn from. So for me, I was a King Shark fan all the way. When a Bloodsport is exactly like Deathstroke, exactly like Deadshot. They're all mercenaries with different traits. So Ezra Alba was great in that role. For me, Will Smith as Deadshot was just weird because he was a different nationality in the comics. So it was kind of weird when you see it in the TV show. He was a different personality and they switched it up to Will Smith. It was like, wait, why are we doing this? But I understand why they did it. You needed the star power for the first movie. I thought he was a great Deadshot. I just didn't understand why they just didn't bring him back in this movie because technically Bloodsport was Deadshot. It's just different suits.
Will Smith was fine in the first movie. Like, I don't have a problem with him, but I feel like Idris Elba acted circles around him. In this universe, he had more dramatic scenes, like the one with the daughter, even though there was a lot of humor in it. You could see like his performance was better when he was talking with the rat girl on the bus. I love that scene. I loved her character, by the way. She was probably my favorite out of everybody, the rat catcher girl. She was very sweet, even though she was arrested and, was put in the jail because of the bank robbery or whatever. She was more like a true good guy in that regard. And I really enjoyed her. I don't even know who she is again. So whatever, but I thought she was one of the best characters in the movie. I would say, just because I want to touch on it, I was worried that this was going to be, and I texted my friend before too. So I know that this had good reviews as far as Rotten Tomatoes, the overall score, but I didn't read any reviews before I saw it. So I went in like just no reviews. I'll probably read some now after, we're giving ours, but I told my friend, I texted her and I was like, I'm worried that it's going to be, like the Suicide Squad of the galaxy or whatever. I personally don't think it was felt at all like Guardians. The funny thing is James Gunn comes from Troma, right? He made Troma films. He started his career and he started off making R-rated movies, Slither, Super. Guardians is almost like a lightened up version of James Gunn. So this got him more back into his roots, if anything. So I like Guardians. I think they're good. They're good for Marvel. They're very different. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I like this, if I would say I like it better, but I feel like it fits his sensibilities better than Guardians does, personally. Well, because he comes from R-rated, films.
Right. I understand. And I don't want people to be like, oh, you're picking Guardians. I don't like Guardians either. So don't everyone go crazy on me. I never enjoyed the first one. I thought it was okay. It was cute. It was better than the sequel, but I wasn't a fan of that either. So I don't want people to be like, I'm a Marvel. No, trust me, I didn't like that one. This one, I wasn't too crazy with it, but I do understand what you're talking about. The R-rated stuff was pretty good in the movie. But yeah, let's get to
the action scenes were great. I mean, the action scenes were great too, by the way. Harley Quinn gets the best one. Her whole like escape scene is fantastic. It's extremely well shot. It is choreographed super great. I love the spear. Like, it's super violent. She gets one of the best ones. I like the Rick Flag and the Peacemaker fighting with the helmet. I thought that was neat. Using the helmet to show the reflection. And then, of course, it cuts to the I was like, well, I don't want to see the whole fight in the helmet, and they didn't, which was great. The scene where they're like one-upping each other, him and John Cena, which, by the way, John Cena is great in this too. He was terrible in the F9. He was horrible. Yeah. He's way better in this role than he was in that role. But when him and Bloodsport are like going through killing all the people, like who can kill him better and all that. Yeah, hilarious, violent, loved it. Cons, I have almost none. I think I could have done without the little title card type things where it would show like the words outside of showing time, like, okay, 8 minutes ago or 3 days ago. That I'm okay with, to let me know where we are in the story. But like, I didn't need all the little, there's too many of them. I was just kind of like, okay, this doesn't add anything to the movie. If anything, it spoiled one or two scenes. Like when there's one of them that says, and minor spoiler alert, I guess, there's one of them that says something like the secret, or like it's a hidden secret or whatever. And then the guy's explaining how the US government was involved. Like, if you didn't put that up, it would have been a better reveal. But because they had this title card that lets you know there's about to be a secret, when they say it, it's not as impactful, in my opinion. So I could have done without those. Outside of that, I don't have really any negatives. I thought it was well shot. The action was great. The characters were great. It was funny. It was really funny. I laughed a lot. So yeah, that's my only con, is I didn't love the little title card and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people to be like, I'm not ripping this apart. And then honestly, in terms of negativity, I pretty much don't have none. I just don't care for the movie. Like, again, that's what I want people to understand. Like, the movie was enjoyable. Yeah, it was entertaining. But for me, it's not something I will pop on to watch again. Like, I already know myself. I never seen the other ones. So I already know myself. I will not be like, once I get it in 4K, of course, to see if the disc work. But other than that, can't see myself going, I'm going to watch Suicide Squad. I'm not too crazy with it. In terms of cons, I will say I wasn't too crazy with all, like, he just brought in all these characters to kill them, which I thought it was dumb. And I understand what you mean with the whole expendable thing, but honestly, Captain Boomerang is one of the original Suicide Squad members. So when he killed him, I was like, okay, so now this is dumb because that was everyone
great.
knows him.
I hate Jai Courtney. He's the worst actor.
I know you don't like
Kill him
I know
in every movie.
I know you don't like him, but Captain Boomerang is one of the main, I think he's one of the main Suicide Squad dudes.
Yeah.
So that's why I was just like, when they killed him, I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Because he does some crazy joint with the boomerang. And I was like, oh, we're gonna get to see that. He didn't get to even do nothing. I mean, he threw it once, and I was just like, oh, great. And then at the end, he has it, his hand is like this on the I was like, oh, that's garbage.
I loved when they killed that guy. I was so happy.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna
get him off my screen. I hate Jai Courtney. He's the worst.
Rick Flag dying. I was really annoyed with it because I kind of felt like they actually did better with him in this round than the first round in terms of the character. I enjoyed him more. John Cena, I do agree with you. I enjoy John Cena more than he was in the Fast and the Furious movie. Peacemaker, I don't care for Peacemaker. He's okay, but I was just like, okay, cool. He was just a douche. He was like the what is it, the US agent from the Marvel, right? Like he's all good, but then he's bad because he wants to do whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Like he has like that split, whatever. So
he always thinks what he's doing is
right
for good. He's one of those. So he's willing to do kind of reprehensible things if he thinks it will bring overall peace. And he's very flawed because of that. So you're on the right.
Yeah. So honestly, like I don't have much cons. This is more like nitpicks. But honestly, like I said,
so I have a question. Yeah. I have a question for you because you're more of a you're. So this is good because we saw this two different ways. You saw it at home. I saw it in IMAX. Mm-hmm. You read comics. I don't read comics at all. Right. So I'm like, I like the idea of comic books and I like the characters, right? I know a lot of comic book characters. Like you could show me a picture of a lot of characters. I could tell you who they are, but I don't read the actual comic books. But I do like to like look up characters and read like wiki pages on them and like kind of have that kind of knowledge. So that being said, my question for you is because you said one thing you said was you don't read the Suicide Squad. I mean, but neither do I. I don't read it at all. But because you don't read it and you don't really care for it, does that affect? I feel like it does kind of affect how you look at the movie because you just don't care for the comics. But like outside of the comic, if this wasn't a comic book property, you would still feel the same way? Like I thought it was an enormously entertaining movie.
That's a good question. Like, and it is an entertaining movie. That I do say. But the thing is, I guess it's very biased because if I don't like the comic, I don't care for the movie. Why watch the movie? Like that's the way I feel.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe so because like it's the same thing with like when I always tell you, right? Like if I want to see a Marvel property, I'll watch it. If I don't, I didn't see Loki. I don't care for Loki. Like, do I have to see it? Of course, because we're doing the YouTube channel, and now that it links to all this universe crap, is a kind of
personally, you have no
I have no
interest.
Exactly. Like I don't want to watch it, but I know I have to watch it for our stuff. But in terms of like DC stuff like this, like for a perfect example, let's say another movie that's coming out that they're going to do.
There was another one, and that's why I asked the question. I can't remember what it is right now, but there was another one where you said, like, you don't care for the property in general, so you didn't care, and I don't remember what it is. It wasn't Black Widow. I don't think it was Black Widow, because I know you don't really read Marvel. Yeah. But whatever, that's what prompted my question.
Yeah, so, like, any property that I feel like I don't care for the interest, I know sitting down even watch the movie could be great. It could be the best thing. I just don't care for the whatever. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it could be biased, and I know a lot of people are gonna write negative comments or whatever. It is what it is what is my review. But I don't know. I don't know why. Like it's just that's just the way I am.
Yeah.
It's just I have no problem.
I'm sorry if you guys hear my brother screaming in the background.
He's
playing video games. He's absolutely losing.
I think
his
he's
mind
winning. But it's a good question, right? Like Wolverine. I love Wolverine. I mean I like the comics. I don't read much of the comics, but I love the character, right?
Yeah.
love the movies. Certain movies, the ones that people hate, I enjoy it. Right? It's like the opposite.
Right.
It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's movie fandom in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's not going to like all the same stuff. I will say I have zero ties to comic books. So every single comic book movie that comes out is starts off clear with me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm interested to see what happens in that movie. I feel like I did the same thing with Game of Thrones, right? Because I didn't read any of the books.
Yeah.
So like the show is my Game of Thrones. I don't know the books. I didn't read the books, but I have friends who read the books, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, this didn't happen, and this was different, and this." Yeah, and I'm like, I don't care. I just like the show. I feel the same way about the movies. I don't read them. Oh, the comics. I have no idea. Show me it. I just want to watch it in a movie form. So I think it's interesting though, because we do have two different perspectives. You being a comic book fan, and me not really reading comic books.
And and the thing that gets me irked. And I mean, we can start and wrapping up, but the thing that gets me irked is that I read a review and a person goes, "Oh, the only way to make a good DC movie is by hiring a Marvel director." And I was going to respond, right? Because I'm like, but then I stopped because I'm like, you know what? Let them say whatever they want, right? Because I can't you can't defend every property, right? Because everyone has their own eye towards a property. You like again, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great, but to me, it's not my cup of tea. Whereas you loved it. You can't wait to see it again. Yeah. But again, we got it on HBO Max. You can see it 100,000 times at home.
But that comment, whoever put that is kind of, I mean, that's essentially saying that no other DC movie is good except this one.
Right. And but again,
I disagree with.
I do disagree. And the problem is like, I was going to combat, right? I was going to go back and say, well, this is what happens when you hire someone that reads the source material, that knows the source material. Just hire a
good director.
Yeah, that knows and reads the comic, right? James Gunn said it. I read it as a kid. Remember, he did the interview. He said, I read all these things as a kid. Bam. That you could tell the guy knows his stuff. That's why I can't wait to see The Batman with Matt Reeves, because he read it. And you could tell because he's mad passionate about the Batman movie. So again, when you get directors that are passionate about a project, you're in for a treat because the guy knows what he's doing. Whatever you care about Zack Snyder, he's a comic book fan, and you saw it in all three movies, right? Even the Justice League looked like a comic book. And I mean, to me, that's like a masterpiece of a film where a lot of people said, hey, Endgame. So again, it's just like you said, it's the way people take the information and whatnot. So for sure. It is. What are you going to give this movie in a rating wise?
Yeah. So this movie, initial review, fresh out the theater, for me, it's a 9 out of 10. Yeah. I'm lately, I try to reserve 10 for something that like blew me away. Like, and this doesn't have a lot of negatives, but I wasn't blown away. I was just very entertained. You know what I mean? I saved my 10s for like just the perfect storm of a movie that has everything I like and makes me feel like, wow, I watched a masterpiece. This is not a masterpiece, but it's a great movie, a supreme upgrade over the first Suicide Squad. Like it's not even close. I had a really, really good time with it. So yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, look, for myself, a lot of people are going to be shocked. Oh my God, he's going to give it a low score. No, I am not. I'm giving this movie a 4 out of 5. I think it's a great DC comic movie for those fans that enjoy Suicide Squad. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I could knock it. And I know there's a lot of reviews that do that. And I think it's wrong to the director and the casting crew that put their hard time doing the film. I'll never do that in our reviews, regardless if I don't like the project or whatever comic book company it is. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I think it's a great movie for those of you that enjoy the movie. I love King Shark. I can't wait to get a statue of King Shark in my room. I think he was awesome. Num nums.
And once again,
I love that num nums.
Once again, here we are reviewing a Sylvester Stallone movie.
That's right.
We should change our name to Sylvester Stallone movie guys. That should be we should change our name.
We can't get away from
Stallone movie guys. We can't escape him. He's everywhere.
We can't get it. We can't escape Stallone, man. He's attached
our
to
67th Sylvester Stallone review.
Yeah. Look, guys, if you guys seen this movie, again, this is a spoiler filled. We didn't talk about all the people that died in this movie. We're going to reserve that when we get to 4K. Maybe we could do another DC review for the channel. But with that said, guys, please let us know in the comments below, what did you think of Suicide Squad? What score did you give it? What pros and cons you give this film? Other than that, Nate, you know what to do.
Yeah, so this is a special bonus. Now, these are going to pop up every now and then. You never know when we're going to come with a special bonus review, because it really just depends on the movie. And if it's an action movie or a comic book movie and we feel like, hey, we want to review it. So keep an eye out on the channel for that. Of course, we got our podcast. We got Rush Hour 2 that just dropped. We got Rush Hour 1 that just dropped. Yep. We got The Long Kiss Goodnight coming soon next week. We're going to do Rush Hour 2. We're going to do Kick-Ass. So you want to make sure you're subscribed to the podcast and the YouTube channel so you can get all this great stuff.
Yeah, and of course, we're going to be returning live back to the live streams November 1st at 9 p.m. And we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters 1. That's going to be our first episode, leading us all the way up to episode 3, Afterlife, when we see it in the theater. So with that said, guys, if you want to follow us on all our social media accounts, please follow Nate over on Instagram at Nateflix Reviews. Check out the podcast with him and his friends called Nateflix Movie Reviews. And of course, anything Action Movie Guys Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Action Movie Guys Podcast. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, support the channel, hit those like buttons if you enjoyed this video, and of course, hit those notification bells so every time new videos drop or any review drops out of the blue, you guys will be notified. And of course, you could take us on the go, like Nate said, with the Action Movie Guys Podcast. We're on Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, anywhere you listen to your podcast on. Hit those auto downloads. And then every time new episodes come out, you guys have it fresh for your ear for a nice gym workout or when you're driving to work. Other than that, I'm your host, Alex Figueroa, and that is
Nate from Nateflix Reviews.
Be awesome to each other and geek out.